Humans are social animals. We need each other not only to be happy, but even for our own survival. Then again, too much of a good thing, well, it can lead to problems. Hello there, my name is Dee, and this is Easing Anxiety. If you like what we do, please subscribe and click on the notifications button so you can be alerted when new videos are available. Thanks for joining us. Being together is the essence of marriage, family, friends, co-workers, any type of relationship. But there are limits. Many of us are under stress, and the pandemic isn't exactly helping out the situation much. According to a study titled Exploring COVID-19 Stress and Its Factors in Bangladesh, published in Science Direct, about 85% of the study participants experienced COVID-19 related stress, which includes sleep shortness, short temper, and family chaos. According to the study, causes contributing to this stress include fear of infection of themselves and loved ones, lack of medical treatment, food insecurity, school and study, career and unemployment consequences, and financial difficulties. Unfortunately, this stress also affects those around us. And since we also have limited exposure outside of the home in recent months, those closest to us take the brunt of our burdens. Most of us have been forced to become very close with those we live with lately, a bit too close perhaps. And for those of you who suffer from chronic anxiety, whether a new condition brought on by this situation or one you've dealt with your whole lives, it only escalates the problem. In a recent article in Time, best-selling author and co-founder of the Gottman Institute, Julie Schwartz Gottman, stated, "Anxiety is rampant, and people are potentially taking some of that anxiety out on each other. So, the relationships that are perhaps a bit unsteady, uncomfortable, perhaps have tension and don't have ways of dealing with stress together, can spiral downwards." According to the same article, after COVID cases started to subside in China, divorce filings started to rise. These times are hard enough on relationships with strong foundations, but ones that start off on a shaky footing, it can lead to disaster. Today, we're going to review 10 anxiety tips for dealing with relationships amid COVID. I realize that not every one of these will be a fit for some of you. Some of you live alone and relationships are the least of your problems right now. Others live with a family and those ties with spouses, parents, children, brothers and sisters, friends may have become strained. But in today's video, I'm going to focus more on intimate relationships, those of a spouse, lover, partner, intimate friend. Because when we suffer from stress, we have a tendency to take that out mostly on those closest to us. But without further delay, let's visit those 10. Number 10, expand your support system. Whoever it is that provides your most intimate connection, that person still cannot support everything you need. Not now, not ever. We're just not designed that way. Humans are social animals, and we need input, challenges, and support from a community. Leaning on the ones closest to you for all your support puts undue strain on your relationship. For many, the loss of a work routine is also the loss of an entire social network. Stay connected with family and friends as much as possible. Catch up with coworkers before or after business calls. Reach out to neighbors across the fence or on a walk. Find ways to connect with others, when it is safe and reasonable to do so. Number 9, keep a routine. So many things have changed, and our psyches crave some sense of normalcy. And keeping a routine at home can help us do that. Chris Kraft, a psychologist and expert in relationships and sexuality, said the following in a May article published in Johns Hopkins Medicine. With everyone's schedule changed, it's important to establish and maintain some kind of a routine. Kraft recommends that we need to stick to regular sleep hours, waking up on time, making the bed and getting dressed every day, and a healthy diet doesn't hurt. Midday breaks such as yoga, taking a walk, or other type of exercise can help us stay grounded. Kraft also notes that it's important to keep the workday limited. He said, "For couples who are working at home, it helps to set boundaries between work hours and time spent together. The anxiety caused by the pandemic may tempt some people to lose themselves in work, particularly people who invest a lot in their personal identity, in their professions. They might miss the routine, the meetings, the structure that goes with that. And this routine is not just for ourselves, it's equally as important for our relationships. Those around us benefit from knowing our routine, having set times for specific functions to rely on. Just as in non-COVID life, we can't keep to our schedules 100% of the time. But we can do our best to maintain consistency as much as possible. Even if your routine is a new routine, have a consistent schedule, and schedule for your children and others in your household. This can provide some sense of security and stability in difficult times. Number 8, understand your anxiety and help others do the same. Knowing your anxiety, what causes it, when it kicks in, how long it lasts, what its effects are, is essential to managing any relationship. Because if you don't understand your anxiety, those who live with you won't either. Notice what your triggers are, what your fears are, what situations set you off. I mentioned this skill in my last video, to learn to notice when you are becoming anxious. And develop some tools to help manage it when it does, such as breathing techniques, meditation, therapy practices, exercising, whatever works for you. And then, and this is the best part, tell your partner or your intimate friend. Help them understand. You might be surprised how many people are also dealing with anxiety when you tell them, especially in 2020. So many of us think that our internal battle with anxiety is completely visible to those around us. But so often, that's not the case. Don't assume that others see the world the way you see it. Don't assume others know what you're experiencing in your head, because they don't. Help them understand. Help them learn all that you are doing to improve things for you and for them. And don't be afraid to ask for help doing this. It seems difficult for so many, but most of us want nothing better than not to have others know of our weakness. And yes, most of us see this anxiety as a weakness, including me many times. But it's not. It's not a weakness. It's just part of who we are. There are positive and negative aspects to it, just like anything in life. But if they don't know what's going on in your head, and trust me, they don't, then they don't understand, and they cannot help. Anxiety is not something only you deal with. Trust me. Anyone who lives with you deals with it too, even if they don't know what it is. Number 7, check anger levels. Clinical psychologist Susan Heitler recommends couples she counsels to see anger as a stop sign. She said the following: first, check your emotional state and the tone of voice that's going to emerge with it. If you're angry, bring yourself down first with a drink of water, a few deep breaths, a distraction. Remembering your partner's good qualities, gratitude, all of those help. We all need to know when to take a step back, especially when anger is a factor. During my withdrawal from anti-anxiety drugs, my wife and I figured out a few cues back and forth, and I could let her know when I needed some space, when I needed to walk away, when I needed just to have a few minutes to myself so I could come down. It's important to establish that connection, that communication, so that the person that you're living with understands what's going on and that they know it's not about them. Sure, maybe something they did helped trigger it, but it's not about them. It's about our reaction to something that happened. And we need a few minutes to process that, relax, and come back and start again. Number 6, have fun. The stress that leads to anger in relationships can also lead to distancing. You find yourselves talking less, especially about intimate things that matter. Even though you may be confined to the same house, you find that you feel far apart, and perhaps becoming more of roommates than close family. Arthur Aaron, PhD, a research professor at Stony Brook University, found that couples who participate in novel and challenging activities together fare better. These activities can be bonding experiences. Activities such as taking an online class together, learning a musical instrument together, playing board games, puzzles, taking hikes, dusting off that bike and going for a ride or a country drive, fixing a special meal together and enjoying it with the family, watching a funny movie or having a video chat date with another couple. In fact, a few of our neighbors have set up backyard movie nights lately during the whole virus thing because it was a way for them to feel like they were going to the movies. They've even invited us over once or twice, socially distant because it's in their backyard and we have the room to do so, but they have the big box candy set out like they have at the movie theaters with popcorn without the movie prices. And it's a great time and we really enjoy ourselves. And it's a way for Shanna and I to have a date and to go out and to socialize with other couples and other people. It's things like that that can help. Find some way to grow together. Find some way to lighten life around you together. Find some way to bond. This is the perfect chance to do that. Why not take advantage of it? Number 5, allow opposing opinions. We all have opinions, lots of them, tons of them, and they may not be the same as those who live with us. Even our intimate partners are not going to agree with us on everything, and they're going to have different opinions than we do. But it doesn't even have to be the same long-standing polarizing debates that we see in the media, like social justice or climate change or right to bear arms or freedom of speech. The virus itself has become the latest platform for divisiveness. And awkward social situations can develop in the most benign of places. You know, a perfect example of this is what my wife and I experienced. When COVID hit, we didn't know what to think. We didn't know what to do. We weren't always sure. We didn't even always agree. In fact, we didn't agree on some topics. Within the first month or so, my nephew wanted to come visit. And I thought, great, it'd be kind of cool if he come visit, but we were under a stay-at-home order, and we weren't both supposed to be around other family, even if we did distance ourselves in the house and he had a mask. And so, but I really wanted to see him. Shanna was pretty strong that maybe we shouldn't because both of us are also rule followers and we wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing. And it became a debate just between the two of us, and it became a debate with other people. And I finally said no to him because it just didn't feel right to us. And I felt terrible doing that. That created animosity. Shortly after, her sister wanted to come stay. Well, using the same criteria, she didn't have much choice other than to say, no, you can't come stay here either because we said the same thing to my nephew. Then later, my best friend wanted to come stay. And It became an awkward situation over and over again, and it put us in a very difficult place. And still to this day, I don't know if I handled it well. I didn't know what the right answer was. And I'm sure some of you have experienced that same contention, that same difficulty, that same, I don't know the term for it, awkwardness within your family, with friends, with other people you've dealt with. It's hard to know where to stand on these issues of the day, even on just the issue of, do we wear a mask? Can we be around other people? Can we hang out with our family, our friends? We're all trying to figure this thing out. We're all trying to do what's right. We're all getting different information, and it's a mess. And it creates stress, and it creates relationship difficulties. I know. I have experienced them myself. We are not the same. We have different thoughts, different beliefs, different values, even within the same family. And that's okay. In fact, I think it's great. Can you imagine this world if every one of us thought alike? Thought the same way? Had the exact same values, beliefs, opinions? And yet it seems like that is what so many people want. For everyone else out there to agree with them, to value what they value, to believe what they believe. Sure, it is great to have similar core values and interests to the person that you are spending most of your time with. But it's also critical to have different thoughts, to have diversity of thought, so that the other person you're with challenges you. That's part of a close relationship. Try and accept others' opinions. Work through the awkward situations as best you can without judging anybody for their opinions and reactions. And remember that the virus will pass. And it sure will be nice if your relationships are just as strong, if not stronger, when it subsides. Number 4, speak up. Now, as much as most of the other tips are about trying to get along with others, it's equally as important to speak up and say what you need, what you want. No one excels at mind reading. No one. We never really know what another person is thinking. We like to think we do, and we often claim that we do, but that is actually a common cognitive distortion. In David Byrne's landmark book, Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy, one of the cognitive distortions he identifies is called jumping to conclusions. 2 examples of this are mind reading and fortune telling. And neither one of these are we any good at. We really aren't. Whether we think we know what someone else wants, or we think they know what we want, we're probably wrong. If you want or need something from another person, say so. It doesn't mean you'll always get it. In fact, many times you will not. But at least it's out there, and the other person knows what you want or need. Assuming he or she knows what you want is a short road to frustration. You know, I used to refrain from asking people what I want because I thought that that was being kind to people. That was being a good person. That was being respectful. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized that actually made it harder on many people because they never knew what I really wanted, how I really felt, what my answer was to a question. I was too busy trying to please other people. That didn't work out well. No, it sure didn't when I was growing up. Now remember, there are always 2 sides, and listening to your partner, knowing what his or her needs are, is equally as important. Relationships are definitely a 2-way street. Number 3, establish and respect alone time. You know, everyone needs alone time. Now, if you're in a small apartment with a lot of kids and family members around you, this can be really difficult to find. But it's important to figure out how to make it work. You know, my wife and I had a head start on this whole thing when the virus hit. You see, we both work from home, as many of you know. And thus we spend most of our time together. So we were already kind of used to it. This wasn't a big leap for us when the virus hit. We were a little more restricted than before and lost some of our social outlets. But being together wasn't that big of a change for us. Now, for the rest of you, I know that probably wasn't the case. Life can get so hectic, so frantic, that we all need some time to cool down, to be alone with our thoughts, to process the day. I realize that not everyone has the freedom or space to get away when they need to, but most of us can find some place and some time to take care of ourselves. Allow yourself the luxury of finding that time, of finding that place every day where you can get away, where the others know to respect that need, so you have a little downtime. Trust me, you're going to be a lot better person to be around, and your family's going to appreciate it. And at the same time, respect their space, their privacy, and their need for some time away also. Number 2, have a little grace and gratitude. Have you noticed yourself becoming a little more annoyed at some of the little things lately? Like your wife is chewing a little bit too loudly, your boyfriend forgot the anniversary of your first date, your friend is talking through the football game, your son forgot to turn off the light when he left the room. Are these things kind of piling up and building up, and are we perhaps maybe just blowing them a little more out of proportion than we used to? No worries. If you are, it's okay. We're all doing that right now. But it's good to step back a little bit and remember, we are the lucky ones that we have these problems. There are so many people who are alone during this whole event, truly alone, and they just wish they had anyone to talk to. So have a little grace, a little forgiveness, a little tolerance for others' actions which may seem irritating to you. Put a little effort in treating people well. In the classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie shared a quote from Charles Schwab. I have yet to find the person who ever great or exalted his station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than he would ever do under a spirit of criticism. Just remember that those around you are going through this too, and are probably equally as annoyed by the things you're doing as you are by them. And number 1, make things better. One of the best lessons I got during my recovery from anti-anxiety drugs was, I'm going to go through this. I can't change it. It's going to happen. I have to suck it up and make it through. It lasted a long, long time, and I'm still going through some of it. But it really left you with one choice. This sucks. But it is also time I can make things better. I can improve things in my life. I can learn things. I can change some behaviors. I can make my life better so when I get through this, I come out smelling like roses. Now, I wasn't exactly smelling like roses when I came out of my withdrawal, but I do believe I came out a better person. And we can do that with COVID too. Kraft added in his article in Johns Hopkins the following. Even partners who were struggling before the stay-home mandates began can use the time to work through some of their problems. You see, we can use this time to good use to build on our relationships instead of destroying them. Well, that closes out our video today. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and remember that all of our references were actually listed in a description for our video, so please go check those out if you'd like to learn more about those subjects. Well, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I hope today's video was informative, maybe a little entertaining, and that you found a few tips that might help you along the way. And remember that If you have people around you who love you, you're one of the lucky ones. Take care of yourself and be at peace. I'll see you next time.